Welcome to First Edition, the all things comics, film, and pop culture web show. I'm George, and I've got a great show to share with you all. First, in comics, film, and pop culture news. Okay, well, not only are new Star Wars films coming, Episode 7 arrives December 18th, 2015. It has the official title of Star Wars: The Force Awakens and returns the majority of the original cast to the big screen. Star Wars Rebels is also kicking ass on Disney XD. Collectors everywhere are hunting for the exclusive prototype Boba Fett Black Series action figure. So it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. And if that weren't enough mayhem for you, starting January 14, 2015, Marvel will be publishing new Star Wars comics. Star Wars #1 is from the creative team of writer Jason Aaron and artist John Cassaday, and Star Wars Darth Vader #1 by creative team writer Kieron Gillen and Salvador Larroca. These ongoing comics will chronicle new and exciting adventures taking place after the events of Star Wars: A New Hope. As a huge fan of the films and the classic Marvel comics, I'm excited for these books, which arrive in comic shops in January and February of 2015. In DC news, DC is looking for a few good men and women, or actually a few very bad ones. Rumors are swirling about the upcoming Suicide Squad film. I think this is DC's answer to Guardians of the Galaxy, because it is a very unexpected property to be developing, but one with lots of potential. For those unfamiliar with the Suicide Squad, they are a team of supervillains and anti-heroes who are sent in to do the jobs no hero could ever do. The comics world is abuzz with not only talk of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor joining this ragtag team, but there's also talk of Batman villains Harley Quinn and even the Joker joining too. Actress Margot Robbie is confirmed as Harley Quinn, and actor Jared Leto is rumored to be on the short list for the Joker. Both the Joker and Harley Quinn have huge fan bases, so this is huge news for any fan. With DC looking to populate this film with an A-list group of villains, I can only imagine what potential threat these unified villains could face. Look for casting rumors to heat up as Suicide Squad ramps up production and aims for a 2016 release. Next up, the Battle of the Five Armies is upon us. Fans everywhere got their best looks yet at the final chapter in the Hobbitt film trilogy, and it did not disappoint. With footage of heroes of Middle-earth preparing for war and booming music that crescendos alongside every moment of peril, this movie looks to be building to an epic conclusion. As a huge fan of the books and the films, I can't wait for this film. For me, I love that the book was adapted into 3 films because it gives me more time in Middle-earth. I was also waiting for this film because I knew the massive battle that was coming for the fate of Middle-earth. One thing I'm also happy about that differs from the book is that we get to see a confrontation with Gandalf and Sauron that was only hinted at in the books. This film also unites the many different factions of good and evil in a massive confrontation. This film looks to have it all, and I can't wait to see it. Heroes of Middle-earth unite. The Hobbitt Battle of the Five Armies hits theaters December 18th, 2014. And one of the most unexpected crossovers ever will happen in the pages of Archie Comics as Archie goes toe-to-toe with Dark Horse Comics' Predator. Archie Meets Predator is a 4-issue miniseries written by Alex DeCampi and illustrated by Fernando Ruiz. Archie Comics has been doing a lot of new and exciting things, but the announcement that Archie would face off against the Predator came as a complete shock to me. The story takes place in Costa Rica for what's sure to be a spring break gone wrong. But I had my reservations about what kind of story this would be. I mean, this is an Archie book. After all, Archie books are known for their all-ages material, and Predator is known for his very mature material. Any thoughts of this being a kid-friendly take on the matchup went out the door when writer Alex DeCampi describes how she planned each character's death one after another. This looks to be a very exciting story that will push the boundaries of the Archie books as well as expand Predator's historic famous matchups. Look for Archie Meets Predator in comic shops in spring of 2015. The last item on my news topics is Marvel's eerie teaser that's all white with the words "Everything ends" fading into nothingness. Recently, Marvel released a wide range of teasers announcing upcoming events for 2015. These teasers indicated a desire to revisit past Marvel events and history. But the final teaser has left fans everywhere wondering if Marvel is really going to pull the plug and reboot everything. While news is sparse on the matter, we already know that DC has relaunched their entire line of comics with the New 52, and that Marvel and DC tend to go back and forth with events and deaths that often mirror each other's stories. But this was back in 2011, and many fans, including myself, suspected that if Marvel was going to reboot, they would have done it already. But they have continued to create stories rooted in their own continuity. So for Marvel to relaunch their entire line of comics came as a surprise to me, especially since the Ultimate Marvel Universe was created as a way to retell classic stories, but ended up being as convoluted as the original Marvel continuity. While there are many pros and cons to a Marvel relaunch, I personally love that Marvel has always embraced their continuity, and I would love to see Marvel continue to innovate within their established continuity. With that being said, I can only imagine what the House of Ideas would do if they relaunched everything, especially with the popularity of so many newer characters. Only time will tell. Look for more developments in the spring of 2015. And now for comics reviews, starting with The Death of Wolverine, Captain America, and Deadpool. Okay, so I read Marvel's Captain America, The Death of Wolverine, and I really enjoyed it. The only thing that really bothered me was the premise itself. What bothered me about the premise is that Wolverine has bled out and had chunks of him torn and blasted away countless times over his lifetime. So it seemed a little ridiculous to me that Captain America would be a little concerned with a single item with Wolverine's DNA, when villains around the world have had countless opportunities to gather his DNA many times over. But once I got past that, the issue was actually very enjoyable. The Death of Wolverine, Deadpool, and Captain America is written by Jerry Dugan with art from Scott Collins, coloring from Veronica Gandini, and cover art from Ed McGuinness and Maury Hollowell. As expected, Dugan packs a lot of humor in this issue. Both Deadpool and Steve Rogers crack jokes, but Deadpool has the lion's share of the jokes, and they are mainly at the expense of Napkin America, as Deadpool now calls the elderly, depowered former Captain America. There are quiet moments too, moments of reflection where each hero recounts their personal experiences with Wolverine. Collins' art is also clean and detailed, adding depth to this remembrance tale. Gandini's vibrant coloring work really shines in this story and accents Collins' illustrations. I also love the comical cover art from Ed McGuinness and Maury Hollowell of Deadpool giving Steve Rogers a shoulder boost to fend off the hand ninjas. While they don't take on ninjas in the comic itself, we do get a chance to see them in combat. Even Steve Rogers, post-depowering, is still capable of throwing knockout punches. Overall, this was a very fun comic that offers readers a chance to see two unlikely allies team up and honor a fallen friend. The Death of Wolverine, Deadpool, and Captain America is well worth the read, so check it out. Next up for review is Image Comics' Spread number 4. Spread is written by Justin Jordan with art from Kyle Stram, coloring from Felipe Sobrero, and cover art from Kyle Stram. I've heard a lot of great things about this comic, so it was a no-brainer to pick it up. I have to say it was worth the hype. While post-apocalyptic tales of organisms overrunning the world are nothing new, Spread definitely has a fresh and exciting take on this. Spread is the story of a man named No as he fights a world overrun by a horrific infestation to protect a baby named Hope. This issue takes place after the events of the previous issue, with No captured and baby Hope at the mercy of a psychotic survivor. Jordan shines in creating this dark and often inescapably bleak tale reminiscent of the classic manga Lone Wolf and Cub. His characters are fully fleshed and engaging individuals that really add a lot of layers to this story. Stram's art has an incredibly distinctive flair, and his designs of the horrific Spread creatures truly capture the horror of Jordan's script. His illustrations are highly stylized, with each character being uniquely crafted, And Sobrero's vivid coloring is the third part of this creative trinity that really makes this a must-read comic. Stram's cover art is terrifying and offers readers a glimpse into the horrific world overrun by the spread. There were also added bonus features in this comic, such as a letters page from the creative team to several cool pinup images. Horror comics fans, Spread is definitely a must-read. Another incredible read was DC's Wonder Woman number 35. This book has received a lot of praise since its New 52 relaunch, and when I recently reviewed an issue, I was also really impressed with this comic, so I was really looking forward to reading more of this series. Wonder Woman is written by Brian Azzarello, with illustrations by Cliff Chiang, coloring from Matthew Wilson, and cover art by Cliff Chiang. Wonder Woman number 35 is the final issue in the Firstborn storyline, and this issue is action-packed. The issue picks up with Wonder Woman and her allies down but not out, and the Firstborn moments away from victory. Azzarello packs a lot of heart into this issue, with strong character moments from not just Wonder Woman, but all of her supporting cast and even the villains. Once the dust has settled, the true genius of Azzarello's magnum opus is revealed. Chiang's art has a distinctive look and flair that is full of energy and is beautifully detailed. His Wonder Woman is a portrait of strength and beauty, while the Firstborn is a terrifying crimson mass of hatred and rage. Wilson's coloring work is another highlight of this comic, as his vibrant coloring work really makes every page stand out. Chiang's cover art offers an iconic and hopeful look at Wonder Woman and her many allies. Overall, this is a very satisfying ending to a massive storyline full of twists and turns. As I said before, this is definitely one of DC's best comics, and I can't wait to read what comes next for the Amazonian warrior and her allies. I also read Amazing Spider-Man number 9. This issue is part 1 of the massive Spider-Man comic event called Spider-Verse, which unites the countless Spider-Men and women across all realities against an omniversal threat. Amazing Spider-Man number 9 is written by Dan Slott with illustrations and cover art from Olivier Coipel and coloring from Justin Ponzer. As a fan of big event comics and incredible threats that unite heroes, this storyline is right up my alley. Probably the biggest highlight of this comic is seeing so many of my favorite Spider heroes, like Spider-Man 2099 and Gwen Stacy the Spider-Woman, united. Slott crafts an action-packed introductory issue that hits the ground running and just keeps going. He also deserves credit for balancing an enormous cast and giving everyone a chance to shine. One of the surprise breakout stars of this issue, who I'm actually looking forward to seeing more of, is Peter Porker, the Spider-Ham, who has some great moments. He also employs a threat worthy of all of these heroes, as they will not only face Morlun, but his entire family of inheritors. Coipel's art is also a hit in this issue. His gritty and intense illustrations pack every panel with action and emotion. I especially love the knockout punch delivered by Spider-Ham, and his depiction of the Great Weaver, who is a massive human spider creature. Coipel's cover art is also very cool and showcases the original Spider-Man united with other spider heroes. Ponzer's coloring work is also a highlight of this comic and brilliantly adds to Coipel's illustrations. Overall, this issue was a blast that promises huge things in store for the webhead. I can't wait to read more of this storyline. The last comic for review is Image's fantasy epic Tooth and Claw number 1. When I saw this comic on the shelves, I was on the fence about getting it, but once read, I was very impressed with it. Tooth and Claw number 1 is written by Kirk Busey with interior and cover art from Benjamin Dewey and coloring from Jordi Belair. This story is a sprawling fantasy story that features humanoid animal beings and all-powerful magic. Except the magic isn't all-powerful anymore, it is failing, and the greatest sorcerers of this fantastic world must try to save it. Busey crafts a colossal, fully fleshed world populated with unique and engaging characters. He also does a masterful job of creating interesting subtexts that mirror our own societal woes and failings. This world is brought to life by Dewey's beautiful pencil work. There are plenty of picturesque cities and landscapes in this magical world that truly catch the reader's eye. The designs of the world's animal-like inhabitants and wardrobes are incredibly detailed and are a real highlight of this book. His cover illustration of Sorceress Garta is an excellent primer to the fantasy themes of this story. Belair's coloring work is also truly engaging and as detailed as the story and art itself. Another note about this book is that it is set at the great price of $2.99. While most comics are now $3.50 and $4.99, this comic was affordable. It included 48 pages of amazing story and art and did not include any ads. Overall, Tooth and Claw was an incredible read that promises great things to come and offers readers a unique story with fantastic illustrations. If you're looking for something other than the usual superhero and zombie fare, Tooth and Claw is a great choice. And now for Cover the Cover. On this segment of Cover the Cover, I'll discuss the cover of Crisis on Infinite Earths #1. Crisis on Infinite Earths #1 kicked off a major storyline that would forever change the DC universe. In order to bring the cataclysmic events of the story to life in eye-popping, vibrant detail, DC brought in legendary artist George Perez to illustrate the series. Perez was one of the top artists in the 1980s and was known for his incredible detail and ability to fit seemingly countless characters into every panel of art he produced. What I love about this wraparound cover is the utter destruction Perez brings to life as the DC heroes and their worlds are shattered by an immeasurably powerful threat. Even the most powerful hero himself, Superman, is left broken and floating in the void, along with the other reality's fallen heroes. I especially love the detail of the shattered worlds and the countless fallen heroes. This cover definitely evokes the feeling of impending doom for the heroes of the DC universe and gave readers a glimpse at the seemingly unbeatable threat the heroes would face. This is one of my favorite works from Perez, and his ability to capture such incredible detail is one of my favorite aspects of his work. And now for a new top 5. With Star Wars comics, films, TV shows, toys, and games on the horizon, Star Wars fever is heating up. In honor of the upcoming films, I will do a top 5 list of my favorite Star Wars heroes at a later time, but for now, here is my top 5 list of my favorite supporting characters who I want to see in the new films. Number 5 on my list is Mara Jade Skywalker. As far as I know, Mara Jade was not featured in any of the Star Wars films, and yet she is an integral part of the expanded universe. Mara Jade was originally a revered servant of the Emperor. She was trained in the ways of the Force and became a warrior to be reckoned with. She operated primarily in the shadows as an assassin and did not suffer the fate of the Emperor or the rebuilt Death Star when it exploded at the end of Return of the Jedi. This is where things become interesting, as Mara Jade begins hunting Luke Skywalker after countless battles, uneasy alliances, and an eventual friendship. Mara Jade and Luke would eventually marry. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with and would fight countless battles at each other's sides. I really like Mara Jade Skywalker because I'm a huge fan of villains who become heroes. And Mara Jade not only became a hero, but she also captured the heart of Luke Skywalker. I think if Mara Jade were to be in the forthcoming Star Wars films, she would be older since Luke will be much older. There can be some great flashback action scenes to Luke and Mara Jade's earlier days, or better yet, if Luke gets a standalone film, it could be a great idea to feature a young Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade adventure. Mara Jade has been a staple of the expanded universe, and I think she would make an excellent addition to the films proper. Number 4 on my list is the charming space devil himself, Lando Calrissian. Actor Billy D. Williams brought this rogue to life when he debuted in Return of the Jedi. What I love about Calrissian is that he outcharms Han Solo himself. He also felt immediately like a genuine friend from the get-go. Yes, he double-crosses Han and the others, but he quickly remedied his betrayal by helping Han and going all in with the Rebel Alliance. Calrissian is also a steadfast fighter, but more importantly, he is an exceptional leader and has maintained positions of authority that have greatly aided himself and his allies. In the forthcoming film, if Lando would return, he would be much older, but I imagine he would still have the same undeniable charm as in the original trilogy. He can also be a valuable ally whose leadership abilities and combat skill could be employed in any battle. I'm really hoping he has a role in the upcoming Star Wars film. When Calrissian debuted on Return of the Jedi, he immediately captured the audience's attention and became a fan favorite. With the return of the majority of the original cast in the upcoming film, the inclusion of Billy D. Williams as Lando is a must. Number 3 on my list is Admiral Ackbar. Admiral Ackbar is another favorite of mine who was introduced in the Return of the Jedi film and has played a major role in the expanded Star Wars universe. Admiral Ackbar is of the Mon Calamari race of aliens and was the commander of the Rebel Alliance's military operations. In the film, he was brought to life by puppeteer Timothy Rose and voiced by Eric Bauserfeld. I remember seeing Return of the Jedi and wondering what this fish-looking character was all about, but when I saw him take charge of the battle, I was really impressed. I also loved this noble character's design and mannerisms. As a kid, I remember that I wanted to see more alien species fighting for the Rebel Alliance, and when I saw Admiral Ackbar, I was really impressed. You might be wondering what's so great about Admiral Ackbar. Ackbar is an exceptional military tactician and steadfast leader. Alongside Lando Calrissian, he leads a daring assault against the Empire and the rebuilt Death Star. Although it's essentially a suicide mission, thanks to his leadership, the Rebel Alliance is victorious. I would love to see Admiral Ackbar return in the new Star Wars films. Assuming there will be major space battles, Ackbar's leadership will be invaluable. My number 2 choice of favorite Star Wars supporting characters is Boba Fett. Boba Fett was played by Jeremy Bulloch in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Ask any fan who Boba Fett is, and you'll likely receive gushing accounts how great this bounty hunter is. Although only having minimal dialogue and screen time in the films, he has achieved legendary status in the eyes of Star Wars fans everywhere. Unfortunately, he also fell into the Sarlacc pit and is considered dead in the film canon, but in the expanded universe, he survives and climbs out and eventually becomes a hero. Hopefully the new Star Wars films will follow suit and revive the character in the new films. What I love about Boba Fett is definitely his mysterious aura. He definitely reminds me of the gunfighters from the legendary Sergio Leone westerns. He is also a force to be reckoned with. While the stormtroopers are missing every shot, Boba Fett manages to help Vader capture Han Solo and the other rebels on Cloud City. If Boba Fett were to appear in the films, there are countless story beats for the character. Personally, I would like to see him become a hero, but he could also make a strong villain. Boba Fett is a man of action who always gets his man, and I hope we see him again in the upcoming films. And the number 1 supporting character on my list who I want to see in the new films is none other than Darth Maul. Darth Maul was played by Ray Park in the Star Wars prequel film, The Phantom Menace. Darth Maul is beloved by fans and has developed a fan following to rival that of even Boba Fett. With his terrifying but cool design and fighting skills to rival Darth Vader himself, Darth Maul really made a name for himself in the first prequel film. Unfortunately, he also met with an untimely death in the film. Thankfully, fan support has been so great for this fallen villain that he has been brought back in comics, books, and even returned in the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon. So there's definitely a chance he could return in the new films. What I love about Maul is definitely his design and fighting prowess. He eagerly took on not 1, but 2 Jedi and bested him. If it weren't for a very dumb move that seemed to betray the intelligence of the character, Obi-Wan might have died along with his master. Maul is also very tough, and in his expanded universe depictions, and even on the Clone Wars, he has been shown to be a relentless adversary. If Maul were to return in the new films, he could easily become a major threat to the heroes, or what may be more interesting would be to see him become an anti-hero. I think Maul could make a great addition to the new films, so here's hoping he returns. That's it for another webisode of First Edition, the all things comics, film, and pop culture web show. If you enjoy the show, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks!